Obvious statement, but music has been a pretty big part of my life. I've been listening to it for as long as I can remember, and I specifically got into rap music around the age of 9 or 10 years old. And now at the age of 26, it's been my job to talk about music and hip hop for over 8 years at this point. Thank you guys for enabling me to still do this, by the way. But as a result of talking about music publicly for nearly a decade, the sometimes pretty bad music taste of my past has been very well documented. Preferences for music shift and change as you grow older, and oh boy, is that the case for me. So join me today as I share with you some songs that I genuinely enjoyed back in the day, whether I was 10, 13, 17, etc., that I listen to now and question why I ever did. Let's go.
Y'all like, I wanna be treated like I'm a queen. Bitch better act like one. Girl, I got so much to give you.
You guys probably know that I used to be a pretty big fan of Hopsin. It's something that I still get reminded of pretty often, despite the fact that I mainly listened to him when I was a teenager. I was in the target audience. With that being said, songs like this make me get why people don't like Hopsin. Now here's the thing, I know why I liked it back in the day. It was cool for me to see Hopsin experiment with some more mainstream elements, incorporating trap drums into the beat, little bit of auto-tune on the pre-chorus, and just generally rapping more cockily.
Bitch, I can see what you tryna do. You got niggas outside in the line for you. Oh, that's your new BMW, right? I got a couple cause I can afford these. You made a hustle off guys who are horny.
He dropped this right around the time that I was expanding my own music taste and listening to a lot more mainstream rap music, and so I liked the sound that this one was going for. And honestly, this song still has a hard-ass beat, the 808s go crazy. If you listen to it in a car, the production still sounds really nice. But ooh, the lyrics. It used to be a lot easier for me to just look past them, but now I can't listen to this very bitter sounding song without thinking that he definitely wrote this right after getting his heart broken by an IG baddie.
It's clear that you don't leave the house. We date you and don't be aroused. Only pleasure that we ever do get from you is when you shut up and open your mouth. This goes out to all these wannabe models who flashing titties just to get a like. Just take this advice, you pathetic, go get a like.
And look, the concept of gold diggers has been a thing forever. It's just that the tone of it, how it's delivered, really gives off incel that finally got rich vibes. You know that beat it chick meme? It feels like that, except it's about Instagram gold diggers and delivered with no irony. In fact, I can one-up that. This song makes it sound like Hopsin would listen to Andrew Tate talking about women and say, exactly. I understand that this was inspired by a real-life breakup of Hopsin's, and something like that can make you feel a lot of emotions. And when you're making music, you're not necessarily talking from the perspective of emotional rationality and reflecting on stuff. A lot of the time it can just be full-on raw emotions that don't necessarily represent exactly what you feel. But it's that aforementioned bitterness of the lyrics that really puts me off of it now, no matter what might have inspired it. Also, slide you some cash and you lay on the wee-wee. I've talked about this line before, but no man as old as Hopsin was when he made this should be referring to his dick as a wee-wee. Now, before we move on to the next entry, I just can't stop smelling my general wrist area. Do you know why? Because today's video is sponsored by Scentbird. That's right, your boy is sitting in front of the camera here smelling like a zillion bucks. You see, with Scentbird, you can try out a variety of scents without the full commitment to see which fragrances work best for you. Being the creature of habit that I am, I've probably used the exact same cologne for the past several years now, which is why trying out Scentbird was so refreshing. Each month, I can choose from over 900 designer fragrances, and it's helped me discover some that work perfectly for me. This month, for example, I've been trying out Burberry London for Men and Shea and Blue's Salt Caramel, which is my personal favorite right now. I might be buying the full bottle for this one, which I can easily do with the QR code that is on the back of the scent card that comes along with the fragrance. When my generously sized 8ml Scentbird vial runs out, which should be good for about 30 days, with roughly 120 sprays in here. And listen, as someone that listens to rap music every single day, it just can be nice every now and then to get a small taste of that designer brand lifestyle, but at a very affordable price. I mean, Scentbird has Gucci fragrances, Versace, you could try out some Issey Miyake, bro. So, if you're curious to explore the fragrances that will resonate with you, then I have a pretty good offer for you. You can get 55% off of your first month by using my promo code CDTV or scanning the QR code that's on the screen right now. You can get your first fragrance for just $8 and your next month for only $16.95. It's a fantastic way to discover scents tailored just for you. Just remember that's code CDTV, and if you want to smell fresh like me, that's not a deal you want to miss.
Let me repeat, I was not taught the laws for the country I live in, but I know how Henry VIII killed his women.
I didn't like school very much when I was a teenager. You can tell because I'm a YouTuber. The traditional education path just wasn't really my thing, and then couple that along with the fact that some certain people in my high school either made me feel or straight up called me dumb at points, and this song almost acted a little bit as an outlet for those feelings of not really feeling like school was for me past a certain point. Damn, someone else was successful while also disliking school? I want to do that. Why do they teach us silly things like mitochondria? But listening back to it now, I can pretty easily realize how easy it is to poke holes in a lot of the points that Boy in a Band makes on here. For example, I find it funny that he pokes fun at learning mental maths because you're gonna have a calculator with you every day. And then he points to his phone, a device that he could use to Google 99% of the stuff he talks about not learning on this track. If you know that you don't know this stuff, then you can do the research so that you know it. You know? On a more serious note, I do get that the point is more so that you should be taught this stuff because you might not even realize that you don't really know it until it gets to the point where it becomes a problem. But the overly dramatic presentation of it just kind of kills the song for me.
But I won't take it! I'll tell everyone my childhood was wasted!
I don't necessarily hate the entire idea of it, but I feel like the presentation is pretty clunky. And I'm not sure if I love the whole angle it presents of this stuff we do learn is stupid because we don't learn this stuff. But a lot of the stuff that we do learn is still kind of important. And moving the content aside, when it comes to just the sound of the track, this one is pretty rough on the ears for me. I can appreciate Dave fully embracing his overwhelmingly British accent rather than forcing something a little bit more Americanized, but the specific voice-breaking energy that he delivers it with is just a bit of an awkward sound a lot of the time.
I'm only fluent in this language, for serious, the rest of the world speaks too. Do you think I'm an idiot?
Speaking of awkward, the flow of a lot of the rhymes just feels quite odd at a lot of points too. I was never taught about tax, but I know loads about Shakespeare's classics. It just doesn't sound good like that. The structure of the writing has such an odd composition.
I wasn't taught how to pay tax, but I know loads about Shakespeare's classics.
The whole song just doesn't sound very good, and while I think it would be great to learn more actual life skills in school, the specific angles that this song takes are certainly questionable. Now this is something different. The title of this video doesn't specify rap songs, so yeah. Scooter. Now I don't know if they're that well known in the US, but when I was a kid, they were absolutely huge in the UK. I still have the nostalgic memories of putting their Jumping All Over the World album into my CD player and just letting it play while vibing out with some PS2 Lego Star Wars. That's living right there, man. And Scooter is possibly one of the funniest musical groups of all time. Absurd lyrics delivered with so much confidence that you almost feel like they make sense, over beats meant for the happiest raves ever. And I couldn't really pick just one song here because, my god, Does Scooter have a formula? Including one song here is basically like including pretty much all of the songs that I personally have heard from them. Do you like a 4 on the floor kick pattern? Pitched up vocals? Lyrics that make little to no sense. Songs where the catchiest parts are often lifted entirely from somewhere else as a sample. Being a hip-hop fan, I'm obviously not against sampling in any way. I think it's one of the coolest things ever, but the way that Scooter does it essentially makes these songs mashups with an MC yelling nonsense over them. Which, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty fun.
The question is, what is the question? You know what? I don't know either. Don't throw away the banana boxes. Shouting it for the family. It's not a bird, it's not a plane. It must be Dave who's on the train.
But Scooter now definitely fits that category of so bad that it loops around to being kind of enjoyable, but I definitely wouldn't say that they're good now, which is what I genuinely thought when I was a kid. I still can't believe I was bumping these songs as much as I did when I was younger, and mostly taking them seriously. Be the bad boy, jumping all over the world. Sing it, jumping all over the world.
Life, it never died. Women are my favorite god.
Also, if you've ever played Disco Elysium, trust me, just listen to at least a few Scooter songs, and the character of Egghead becomes even funnier.
Good morning, yeah! 1, 2, 3, Yakokata, the place to be! Hardcore! Hardcore! Hardcore to the mega! Skibbity, skibber danger! I am the rearranger!
Skibbity, skibber danger. I am the real ranger.
He's essentially modeled off of the Scooter frontman.
She keep me shooting off like a rocket. When she drop it up on my dick, I let her play inside the pink pocket. So pretty.
Now look, I still like strange music in Tech 9, and I'd even defend a lot of Tech 9's music still, but I can't lie, this specific song is more of an awkward listen now than anything. The album that this song comes from, I believe it dropped right around the time that I was getting into Tech 9's music, so at that point, I was just happy to hear absolutely anything from him. But looking back at it now, there's a few not so great songs on there. And I think part of what makes this one miss for me now is that I don't often go to Tech 9 or the Strange Music label in general looking for sex appeal music. And this song is very awkward in its approach to relaying sexual content. From Tech opening his verse in a completely serious, intimate voice saying, "My goodness, you're the reason for my woodness."
My goodness. You're the reason for my woodness.
To Stevie Stone with some incredible wordplay saying that he'll put his Pro Tool in his girl's hard drive. To Ritz having a very smooth flow on his verse, but maybe oversharing a little bit about his sex life.
We love fuck her when she bleed and I leave it in with no rubber, leaving hotel comfort as a sheets destroyed as that TMI. Remember when I fingered you in Kroger? We thought we were discreet, but a couple people probably saw.
It's just too conflicting tonally because it's clearly supposed to be this smooth sex song, but the lyrics themselves are too in your face and overly explicit to fit the intimate vibe that it's trying to have. A little more subtlety here would go a long way, but again, I'm not necessarily looking towards strange music for sexy songs.
On the bitch to bar, on the bitch to Barbie, and I'm ballin' hard. Ain't nobody got me now.
I used to think this was one of the good songs on Teenage Emotions, and I can tell you why. If you've watched my earlier videos on Yachty, I made it pretty clear that I didn't like it as much when he was trying to prove himself more as a straight up lyrical rapper, and I was much more partial to when he leaned into the goofy, melodic, fun side of things, which is a category that this track absolutely falls into. But I don't see the vision with this particular song anymore. It is like his Lil Boat 1 and Summer Songs 2 stuff, but with the silliness and the goofy vocals cranked all the way up, and it's just a little bit too much, to the point that it almost feels a little bit obnoxious here. And the repetition of Harley on the chorus starts to wear off very quick.
Harley, 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 riding like a Harley, 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 Harley.
Do I necessarily hate it now? Not exactly, but I do think it's crazy that I used to label this one as a favorite from Teenage Emotions.
I adamantly attack the alphabet with an anecdotal algorithm made of adamantium. I'm like an Adderall addicted anaconda.
Look, I feel no shame for enjoying pretty much all of the songs that I included on here at some point in time in my life, but this is probably the closest that I get. On one hand, if this is your kind of thing, then it can be pretty fun to try and rap along to a tongue twister like this. But on the other hand, it feels like a shining example of what a lot of people say is wrong with fast rap. In fact, Mac Lethal in general, I feel like, really represents that idea of making your lyrics borderline nonsensical just for the sake of rapping at hyperspeed, all style, little substance, which is kind of ironic when you consider how much he's dissed mumble rap for its lack of substance. Now, I understand the point of this song isn't necessarily for the alliteration to make complete sense, but man, it would be so much cooler if it did. Like, think about it, that would be almost peak writing, honestly, to use alliteration in order from A to Z in a rap verse that at least has some semblance of theming or direction to the overall package, but most of this is just Mac listing off random shit.
Killing him like a kid, gotta kill the Brim Academy for Kwanzaa. Made a Komodo, dragon skin. Rich like a Klingon that be kicking it at the Kremlin, but I'm kicking through your door, call me Kramer Kardashian.
More crazy than a short lady trying to give birth to 84 babies type shit. A hippopotamus is high on heroin, he heckles me, and hires Haitian Hank to hand his hoe a hysterectomy. Does this mean anything? The beat sounds bad and poorly mixed, the fast rapping has no enjoyable rhythm to it, and low-key kind of sounds a little bit sped up at points because it has that same sort of waveform distortion on it that I would have if I sped up my vocals like this.
We're really getting ready for the revolution, real the rotten rhythm, ring around the Russian, Ronda Rousey resort, serve a simple sentiment, assembly.
The lyrics don't mean anything, just a bad gimmick track. Also, as an extra thing, I'm at least like 85% sure that he completely bullshits in the video. He sets the video for this up by saying on screen that this was his 67th take trying to record the song to make it sound like it was a completely exhausting process to try and get right. But I feel like he's almost definitely just mouthing the words to an already recorded track. Like, is this not just, admittedly pretty good, lip syncing? I listened to this pretty closely with headphones on, and I feel like it doesn't sound like it's recorded in one vocal take. There's certain parts where it feels like you can notice him punching in. An extra layer of potential proof of that is I don't think I've ever seen a clip of him rapping into a live microphone this fast for this prolonged a period of time. The fact that I used to listen to this somewhat frequently is a mark that I will carry with me forever. We've made it to the end of the video and I haven't mentioned a single Nickelback song, despite them being my favorite band when I was but a wee lad. Do you know why? Because I still feel no shame in enjoying them. And you can't make me. So, what are some songs that you look back at and think, why did I ever enjoy that? Let me know down in those comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to click on that link for Scentbird and use my code CDTV for 55% off of your first order. Much love to them for sponsoring the video once again. You can click on the screen right here to check out my previous video. I'm telling you right now, It's one of the best ones I've ever made, so go check it out. And much love to my channel members and Patreon supporters over there, the 2007 squad, with a special shout out to Henry Flores, I Am Regent, Lucas1123, and Neo Striker.